Have you ever been just scrolling through an app on your phone and had that thought, how is this even made? It seems like magic, right? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain and decode the secret language of your screen. I mean, it looks crazy complex, doesn't it? All those buttons and pictures and text just flowing together perfectly. But what if I told you that the whole thing, every single app, starts with one surprisingly simple idea? That's right, it doesn't matter if it's a social media app or a food delivery app. At their core, they're all made from the exact same fundamental pieces. The real magic isn't in the pieces themselves, but in how they're all snapped together. So, what do we call this magic building block? Well, it's called a widget. In the world of app building, that one word is the key to, well, everything. If you understand what a widget is, you're already halfway to understanding how your favorite apps work. Honestly, the best way to think about a widget is just like a Lego brick. Simple, right? You can't build a giant castle without those little plastic bricks, and you absolutely can't build an app without widgets. A button? That's a widget. A photo? Also a widget. Even the empty space giving everything room to breathe? Yep, you guessed it, that's a widget too. So how do you stick these bricks together? Well, think of it like those Russian nesting dolls. You just put one widget inside another inside another. You start small with your core piece, like a text widget that says tap here. Then you wrap that inside a button widget to make it, tappable. Then you wrap the button in a padding widget to give it some nice space around the edges. And finally, you wrap the whole thing in a center widget to plop it right in the middle of the screen. See? It's just widgets all the way down. Okay, so we've got our Lego bricks. We understand that we stack them inside each other. But you can't just start throwing them around in empty space. You need a foundation to build on. You need a skeleton for the screen. And for that, we have this super important widget called the Scaffold. It's basically a pre-made blueprint for a standard screen. It gives us all the common slots for the things we've all come to expect in an app. The best analogy is to think of the scaffold as the frame of a house. It automatically gives you a place for the roof. That's the top bar with the title of the app. It gives you a floor, your bottom navigation bar with all the icons. And it even gives you a spot for the doorbell. You know, that little floating circle button in the corner? It's the essential structure that holds the whole room together. All right, our house is framed, we've got our furniture, our widgets. Now what? Well, we gotta arrange it all inside. How do we decide where everything goes? And luckily, this part's pretty straightforward. Developers mostly use two workhorse widgets for this, a row and a column. And they do exactly what you think they do. If you want to put 3 buttons next to each other, side by side, you pop them in a row. If you want to stack an image, then a title, then a paragraph of text, you put them in a column. Simple as that. Sounds easy enough, but this is where developers hit their first big wall. See, our phone screens are tiny. They have a fixed amount of space. So what happens when your column of stuff is just too long for the screen? You get this. The dreaded yellow and black stripes of death. It's an error message that basically screams, "You ran out of room! You ran out of pixels!" It's literally like trying to shove an elephant into a refrigerator. It's just not gonna fit. So what's the fix? Well, the solution is actually super elegant and something you use all the time. Scrolling. That's it. By wrapping your long list of items in a special scrolling widget, you create this kind of safety net. Now your content can be as long as it wants, flowing right off the bottom of the screen, just waiting for you to swipe up. Okay, we've got structure, we've got layout, but let's be honest, it probably looks a little bland right now. It's time for the fun part. It's time for the interior design, using the invisible tools that give an app its style. First up, you have the container. And seriously, this thing is the Swiss Army knife for developers. You want to put a nice gray background behind some text? Use a container. You want to add a thin black border around a picture or maybe give it some nice rounded corners? Container. It's the go-to widget for decorating everything else. Then you've got the stack. And if you've ever touched a program like Photoshop, this is going to click instantly. A stack lets you pile widgets right on top of each other, just like layers. This is exactly how you get that cool-looking title text sitting on top of a big background photo. And finally, let's talk about maybe the most unsung hero of all design, padding. It's just an invisible widget that adds empty space. I know it sounds boring, but trust me, it's absolutely crucial. Without padding, every single thing in your app would be slammed up against each other and the edges of the screen. It would look like it was suffocating. Padding lets the whole design breathe. So our app looks amazing, it's beautiful, it's well-designed, but it's just a statue. It's a pretty picture that doesn't do anything when you touch it. So it's time to find the power switch and bring this thing to life.
To get this, you need to know that widgets kind of have two personalities. First, you have a stateless widget. Think of this like a painting. Once it's drawn on the screen, it's done. It will never, ever change. A company logo is a perfect example. But then you have a stateful widget. And this one is like a living creature. It can change. It can react when you poke it. That checkbox you can tick or that little counter that goes up when you tap a button, those are stateful.
So here's the magic trick. When you tap that checkbox, the widget doesn't just quietly change on its own. It basically sends out a command to the phone, yelling, "Hey, everybody stop, redraw this part of the screen. I've changed from unchecked to checked." And that command to redraw is what you see as an instant, interactive change on your screen. And just like that, we've gone on the entire journey. We started with the blueprint, the simple idea that everything is a widget. Then we built the frame of our house with a scaffold. We arranged all our furniture inside with rows and columns. We added the polish and interior design with tools like containers and padding. And finally, we flipped the power switch with State to make the whole thing interactive and alive. So the next time you open your favorite app, I want you to look closer, because you're not just seeing an app anymore. You're seeing the scaffold holding it all up. You're seeing the rows of icons and the columns of text. You'll see the little stateful heart icon that redraws itself when you tap it. You now speak the secret language of your screen. So the only question is, what are you going to see now?